Realistically, people who probably already know me in real life. Welcome to JamEverywhere video blog episode 4. If you have seen any of the other videos on this channel or any of the other JamEverywhere episodes, there's one big thing that you've probably noticed. Episode 3 was in 2012. Yeah, so, what happened? Well, if you'll bear with me for a little bit, there's actually a scientific explanation for this thing. Alright. No, if you want sort of more information about what happened between my last video blog and this one, I have an actual written blog with pictures. I'm doing this because I'm going to put a link to it in the description of this video. But then, even the written blog kind of peters out after a while, and I'm just posting really emo poetry or whatever, so I didn't really have follow through on that either. My attempt to jam everywhere and have adventures wherever I might be and that kind of thing, which was really cute in video number 2, didn't really pan out. So the question is, why? Why did that happen? Something that has plagued me my entire life and has been a sticking point for me. I'm actually, believe it or not, a very ambitious person with a lot of ideas of things I want to do, places I want to go, stuff that I want to accomplish or at least try, especially creative stuff. Like I want to write a novel, I want to make graphic novels, I want to make YouTube videos, I want to hunt ghosts, I want to become fluent in other languages. There's always things that I want to do, but I'm never quite able to follow through. And this is something that always frustrated me about myself, because I thought, oh shit, I'm a lazy person. I don't think there's a cure for that. Like I thought, like, I'm bad, I'm lazy, I have a problem, but it turns out that there's an actual scientific explanation for this, and it's a diagnosis that I got in August 2016, so over a year ago, like a year and a half ago now. That diagnosis is idiopathic hypersomnia. So what is idiopathic hypersomnia? Well, the answer's right there in the name, right? Hypersomnia means hyper, too much, somnia, sleep, so too much sleep. The opposite of hyposomnia, no, the opposite of insomnia. I don't know why they didn't keep the hypo pair with those words there, but whatever. It's opposite of insomnia, basically. It's sleeping too much. And idiopathic means literally without known cause. So a little over a year, or about a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed with, you sleep too much and we don't know why. And that's what my diagnosis is. But there's a little more to it than that. So hypersomnia, just in and of itself, sleeping too much, can be the symptom of a lot of different conditions. People who are depressed, sometimes they sleep too much. Sometimes they have hypersomnia or insomnia. So it was really common, actually, when I would go to doctors and be like, I'm sleeping so much, I'm always so tired. What do I do? What's wrong with me? They would be like, sounds like you're depressed. And they would give me, antidepressants or suggest that I go to therapy. 9 times out of 10, the side effects of the antidepressants made me sleepier, which was incredibly counterproductive. One of these days I might make a video about my experience with a whole bunch of different psychotropic medications, and a brief stay in a psychiatric hospital here in or near Denver, Colorado. Kind of just my really bad experiences with the mental health care system in this country, the United States of America. But that's a subject for another video. It's true that in periodic times throughout my life, I would actually be clinically depressed. Turns out, if you're depressed, sometimes you can sleep a lot, but also if you sleep too much, it has a tendency to make you depressed because you can't accomplish the things that you need to accomplish in life. One of the worst times for me with hypersomnia, like when I was kind of at my rock bottom, I was sleeping 16 to 18 hours a day, and I didn't really have any control over it. I would just be so sleepy that there was nothing I could do but just lay down and sleep. And I didn't have time to like cook myself food or take a shower or live my life. So even if I wasn't clinically depressed at the time, that kind of thing, not being able to do anything, has a way of making you become clinically depressed. So yeah, since 2012, I've definitely kind of been floating in and out of clinically depressed states. Interestingly enough, I have not I think in order to be considered clinically depressed, you have to have the depressed mood and a certain list of symptoms for 2 weeks in a row. And actually, ever since getting diagnosed with idiopathic hypersomnia, with you are pathologically sleepy and we don't know why, but it's not just all in your head. Ever since getting that diagnosis, I have not been clinically depressed. Like I've had rough patches, I've had bad days. Winter has always been difficult for me, and so I did kind of start slowing down and having problems in winter. But I don't think I've reached that 2 week mark, because now I can look at myself and I can be like, yeah, you're really sleepy and you're having difficulty keeping up with your errands and your job and all of the things going on in your life, but that's because you have a sleep disorder. It's not because you're a bad person, it's not because you're depressed, and it's nothing to be depressed about. You just are gonna need to kind of slow down a little bit and give yourself a break. What is idiopathic hypersomnia? That's the title of this video, so I should probably answer that question a little better. You sleep too much and we don't know why. I said that already. But what does it feel like? To me, and everyone's probably a little bit different, but for me, the best way to describe it is, you know how you feel when you've gone a couple of days, like 3 or 4 days, and you really haven't gotten much sleep. You've gotten maybe like 4 or 5 hours a night, and you've been really, really busy, and you've been like working your job and going to school, and all you can think about all day is just like, God, I just want to go to sleep right now. If I could just lay down and go to sleep, I would feel so much better. I'm exhausted. And every time you sit down, you're just like, I can't. I'm not gonna stand up again. That's literally impossible. Oh my God, okay, fine. I've got stuff to do. Or when you haven't gotten very much sleep for 3 or 4 days and you're thinking about something you have to do, like an errand you have to run, or a job you have to go to, or a class you have to go to, and you're just like, the thought of doing that thing is exhausting. Like just thinking about running that errand is just like, oh my God, I can't do this. I feel like that all the time, no matter how much sleep I've gotten. I could sleep 12 hours, I could sleep 6. I've tried all the different combinations of the number of hours to sleep in a day. I've tried always sleeping when I'm sleepy. I've tried fighting it and like forcing myself to stay awake and never take naps. And that level of exhaustion, that like, I'm exhausted thinking about doing that thing, is like the one constant feeling. And so to me, that's what idiopathic hypersomnia means. As I've come back to the United States, I've gone back and forth between working full-time and having to quit because I couldn't keep up with it. At some point, I kind of got wise to that, and I started reducing my work hours. Right now, I work in an office about 20 to 24 hours a week, and I have a flexible schedule, so I'm really grateful that I was able to find a job that pays me enough that I'm able to kind of rent a room from my mom. Rents in Denver right now are insane. I'm paying what would be a reasonable rent in a different kind of city, but even renting a bedroom in Denver is like, it's what a one-bedroom apartment should cost, but I digress. Even when I want to do something. So this is kind of what it's like to be me. I get up in the morning and I feel exhausted. And I think about things that I want to do, things that I enjoy doing. Art, writing, cycling, video blogging. I think about things that I want to do, and I am exhausted by just the idea of doing something I like, something that excites me, something that I want. So if you can imagine, I have to get up and spend an hour, 2 hours on one of my days off, getting up the energy and convincing myself to do something that I want to do. Imagine what it's like when I have to convince myself to do something I don't want to do, like go to work or do a chore, you know. I have such limited energy as it is. I've got 3 or 4 hours of energy a day where I feel like I can actually harness that into something productive. And I have to spend a significant amount of that limited energy to convince myself to use it and do things. So I think that just kind of makes it like twice as hard. That's probably the most difficult part about idiopathic hypersomnia to me. I've had to significantly scale back my ambitions and my expectations for myself. And scaling back like that has had positive effects on my mental health. Because when you're holding yourself to such a high standard that you'll never reach it, you're not going to feel good about yourself. But at the same time, there is something kind of saddening about, you know, giving up certain kinds of dreams. But I'm really trying lately to stay really positive. Just to think positive, forgiving myself when I find things difficult or when I'm not quite able to get to the point where I can do it, or if it takes me 2, 3 times as long to get around to something or to accomplish something than I think that it should have. I'm trying to forgive myself for that. Part of hypersomnia, I think, is that there's certain traits. For example, being messy, having a cluttered room, not an unhygienic room. In fact, I specifically don't bring food into my room. But just like always living in a cluttered mess, that's something that I'm just gonna have to get used to, because if I only have so much energy to do something, am I gonna work on an art project or am I gonna clean my room? That's an actual choice that sometimes I have to make. I don't like living in clutter like this. It's just kind of, this is the best I can do sometimes. You know, I'm always gonna keep looking for how to improve my life and how to move on despite this. Like, everyone else is running up the mountain and I'm trying to run up the mountain and I've got a 20-pound weight on. I'm gonna be slower than everybody else, but by the time I make it to the top of that mountain, I'm gonna be bloody ripped, you know? If I can keep from giving up halfway up the mountain and just sitting down and thinking to myself how unfair it is that I've got to wear this 20, 30, 40, 50-pound weight. So I think this right now is me not sitting down and just giving up. This is me going slowly up the mountain, but still torturing this metaphor as much as I possibly can. Thank you for watching. Welcome to JamEverywhere, episode 4. Make it like ridiculously like 20-minute long video or anything. I also can't stop scratching my nose. It's a nervous habit or something.